I do give a shit who wins the next election. And outdated racial pandering is one reason Democrats lose elections. When Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi put on kente cloth, I don't think it earned them one vote for their powerful emotional ties to Ghana. Here in California, we're now segregating kidnapping. Really, California doesn't just have Amber Alerts for missing children. We have Ebony Alerts for Black children and Feather Alerts for Native American kids. What is that? We look for them by listening on the ground?
You know what's crazy? People keep saying wokeness is over. They talk like it vanished after a few cringy TikToks and some failed corporate stunts. But nope, it's still here, just not as loud as before. And if there's one guy who refuses to let the last sparks of this nonsense fade quietly, it's Bill Maher. Love him or hate him, the man has turned into an unexpected hero for the political center and even parts of the right by calling out the nonsense from his own side. And, honestly, that says more about how far the left has slipped than it does about him. So, let's get into it. Let's talk about how Democrats are slowly sinking their own ship with this obsession over identity politics, performative pandering, and woke experiments that make everyday Americans roll their eyes so hard it's a health risk. And yes, before we dig deeper, hit that like button and subscribe if you're sick of politics that feel like one endless Twitter argument come to life. Now, imagine this. Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, two of the most powerful Democrats in Congress at the time, kneeling in kente cloth to show support for African Americans. Did that bit of theater earn them a single vote? Nope. Did anyone in Ghana feel touched by Nancy Pelosi's outfit change? Highly unlikely. What it did do was make millions of Americans think, seriously? This is what politics has turned into. Costumes?
I do give a shit who wins the next election. And outdated racial pandering is one reason Democrats lose elections. When Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi put on kente cloth, I don't think it earned them one vote for their powerful emotional ties to Ghana.
And it's not only goofy stunts like that. Here in California, we've turned virtue signaling into almost a joke. We don't just have Amber Alerts anymore. Nope. Now there are Ebony Alerts for missing Black children and Feather Alerts for missing Native American kids. What's next? Are we supposed to find them by putting our ears to the ground like in a cartoon?
Here in California, we're now segregating kidnapping. Really, California doesn't just have Amber Alerts for missing children. We have Ebony Alerts for Black children and Feather Alerts for Native American kids. What is that? We look for them by listening on the ground?
It's segregation dressed up as kindness. And Bill Maher is right to poke fun at how ridiculous it is. But here's the truth. Maher hasn't changed. It's the left that has.
Who is now made up of a small contingent who've gone mental and a large contingent who refuse to call them out for it. But I will. That's why I'm a hero at Fox these days. Which shows just how much liberals have their head up their ass, because if they really thought about it, they would have made me a hero.
To be the party of Franklin Roosevelt and John F. Kennedy, leaders who stood for unity, strength, and proud American values. Today, it's a party focused on hashtags, controlling words, and turning kids' toys into political messages. Mr. Potato Head can't even be called Mr. anymore without someone claiming oppression.
Members of Congress tweeting things like cancel rent, cancel mortgage, and no more policing or incarceration, declaring that capitalism is slavery, canceling Lincoln and Dr. Seuss, teaching children they're oppressors and math is racist, making Mr. Potato Head gender neutral, and now an emoji for pregnant men. Real, I'm not making it up.
It's not progress. That's a joke. And guess what? Ordinary Americans see it. They aren't blind. They aren't foolish. They notice when their leaders spend more time arguing over pronouns, emojis, and made-up oppression instead of the economy, border safety, and rising grocery prices. They notice when activists call capitalism slavery while buying the newest iPhone. They notice when the party that once inspired the world with GFK now feels like the party of LOL and WF.
Not my fault that the party of FDR and JFK is turning into the party of LOL and WTF.
And because of this, Democrats are losing voters, especially the very ones they think they're trying to please. The Financial Times even said Democrats are falling behind with people of color faster than any other group. Why? Because Americans today are less divided by race than the left acts. They vote based on beliefs, values, and results, not skin color. Here's the thing. In the past 10 years, the number of Americans identifying as multiracial jumped over 270%. 1 in 5 newlyweds is in an interracial marriage. And if you believe car ads, apparently every couple driving a Subaru is mixed race. Approval of interracial marriage is almost 100.
Even if you like identity politics, this kind of thing is antiquated. From 2010 to 2020, the number of people identifying as multiracial in America went up 276%. 1 in 5 newlyweds now are in an interracial marriage, and that number goes up to 100% in ads for Subaru. You couldn't do a remake of Guess Who's Coming to Dinner today because almost 100% of Americans approve of interracial marriage, especially with rich in-laws. And 95% of white women would leave their husband to marry Idris Elba.
The woke left is still playing a 1,960 seconds game on a 2025 field. Bill Maher gets it. Identity politics isn't just old-fashioned. It's a dead end. He even jokes you couldn't remake Guess Who's Coming to Dinner today because honestly, no one would care. Most Americans have moved on. They're busy living, working, and loving across racial lines while the left keeps reopening old wounds. And it's tiring. Take Idris Elba, one of the world's most popular actors. He clearly said, "Our focus on race is holding people back." Raven Simon told Oprah she's tired of labels. She doesn't call herself African American. She calls herself American.
Idris Elba, who says, as humans, we are obsessed with race, and that obsession can really hinder people's aspirations. Actress Raven Simone agrees. She told Oprah, "I'm tired of being labeled. I'm not an African American. I'm an American." She says, "I don't know what country in Africa I'm from. My roots are in Louisiana." And you don't have to agree with that. But it's a point of view a lot of people have. It should be respected. Morgan Freeman says the way to finish off racism is stop talking about it. I'm going to stop calling you a white man, and I'm going to ask you to stop calling me a black man. There's even a movement now to ban racial questions on the census, and many of its leaders are people of color, like Professor Sheena Mason, who says to undo racism, we have to undo our belief in race.
Freeman, the voice of God himself, said, the best way to end racism is to stop obsessing over it entirely. These aren't fringe opinions. These are beloved public figures basically asking us to move past the obsession. And here's the irony. Many pushing to remove racial questions from the census are actually people of color. That says a lot. But the left won't listen. Instead, they double down. Pregnant man emojis. Canceling Dr. Seuss and redefining womanhood so far that we're told men can get pregnant, breastfeed, and compete in women's sports. That's not equality. That's not kindness. That's ideological craziness. It's gaslighting the whole country into ignoring biology. And when you say that, you're called a bigot. But let's be honest, how many Americans, Democrats included, actually believe men can have babies? Very few. Yet activists scream the loudest, and politicians give in. That's how a political movement starts to feel like it's run by Twitter instead of reality. And here's the kicker. Identity politics isn't even winning politically anymore. Look at culture. Beyoncé has the #1 country song in America.
Today's Democrats should move on from identity politics. It's not working. It's not working for them or for us. Democrats are hemorrhaging the very voters they think they're pandering to. The Financial Times writes, Democrats are going backwards faster with voters of color than any other demographic, and suggests the reason is that a less racially divided America is an America where people vote more based on their beliefs than their identity. Exactly. Far-left liberals are living in an old paradigm. Americans don't fit into neat little boxes anymore. Who has the #1 country song right now? Beyonce.
Lil Nas X won a country music award while being black and gay. The hottest rising star in country music right now is Jelly Roll, a tattooed ex-con who became a rapper and now a country singer.
Miss Marvel is Pakistani, and the winner of the last 2 NBA dunk contests is white. The new Captain America is black, and Spider-Man is black and Puerto Rican, just like AI George Washington.
Marvel is Pakistani. The new Spider-Man is black and Puerto Rican. The dunk contest winners are white. In other words, the so-called lanes don't exist anymore. People can be whatever they want, and America is accepting it. That's progress. That's unity. That's what